Hey, Amy,
Yeah, Juan.
give me that beat.
It's Baseball Shangri-La with Amie Cuevas and Juan Ramirez.
What's up, party people? She is Amy Cuevas. I am Juan Ramirez. You are listening or watching Baseball Shangri-La. If you are listening to us on the audio portion of the show, please make sure you're subscribed to the podcast, rate us, write us a review, help spread the word. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel. Hit that notification button, give us a thumbs up, leave us your comments. We love engaging with you. And most importantly, make sure you're following us on social media on X at BB Shangri-La, on Instagram, YouTube, and Bluesky at Baseball Shangri-La. Okay, Amie. So my voice is a little weird. I'm still kind of recovering over my cough or whatever the hell I had last week. Did I
Was that
squeak?
when you had tuberculosis and we had to
Say-
quarantine you?
So in the beginning of the show, did I squeak? Is that because it sounded like I squeaked?
You squeaked a little bit. It's okay. It was cute. It was
Yeah.
adorable.
So my apologies if I'm not as loud as I normally am, ladies and gentlemen. It's because I'm trying to save my voice to get through this episode. I know, look, guys, I want to thank you all for bearing with us. These last 3 weeks have just been a nightmare, not only technically, but in regards to my health and everything that
David wants a taco. It's not behind you. Sorry, there
Oh,
were
okay.
some
I
sirens
didn't even
going.
hear it, to tell you the truth. I didn't hear it. But I am back in studio. It is not my normal studio. It is a new studio. Okay. So if you're watching me on YouTube and you're seeing my eyes dart, it's because there's strangers in this building and I just don't want anybody to walk in on me as I'm recording.
Don't
So
hurt our Juan.
I'm sorry, what was that?
I said, don't hurt our Juan. Stranger
Exactly.
danger. Stranger danger.
Exactly. Stranger danger. But again, you no longer see the circle anymore. Now you get to see my beautiful voice. And so we're going to try this setup for a while and see how that goes. Again, I just can't thank you guys enough for your patience and bearing with us and still sticking with the show. AJ sent a very encouraging comment on our last episode. So thank you for that. Amy, before we get into the show, are there any comments that you want to address?
We had a couple. Thank you everybody for just commenting on the comments corner, talking about, like, I think El Cerebro was talking about the new pitching rule, which laid out prerequisites for when a position player could pitch. We're seeing a lot of that happening. It's going to come up later in the episode. I think even Mike Piazza. Ugh, man, it's been a long day. I'm going to warn you guys ahead of time. Juan's in a new studio. My brain's falling apart. It's going to be a great episode. But Piazza was kind of sounding off on Twitter too, so we'll address that a little bit more later. But we did just get a message from one of our listeners, Sal. I just got it right before we recorded this episode. They're one of our listeners in Australia, and they are actually coming to LA for a visit, and they'll be in the stadium on Wednesday for Yamamoto's bobblehead night, and hopefully, if we get to see it, Kershaw's 3,000th strikeout, if he can hit those next three. So just the baseball family grows.
Wow, I knew we were an international show because Siamese Vodka listens to us in Germany, but I did not know that we had listeners in Australia. So, Sal, thank you very much for supporting the show. There was also, Brandy, I just want to thank you for making yourself vulnerable and having a conversation with us in the comments corner and for sharing your thoughts about what's going on in LA. I really appreciate it. And once again, I can't stress this enough when I say this is a safe space. We I don't want it just if we don't agree, I don't want this to be about right and wrong. This is about sharing your thoughts and then we are engaging in a discussion. So I really hope that no one, if you do listen to that portion of the show in the last two episodes, I really hope that you guys don't take it as I'm trying to shame everybody if you think of this or if you're supporting the Dodgers. Or it's not about that. It's really just about expressing ideas out loud and having a conversation and having a discussion. So I really appreciate you sharing your thoughts with us on that issue on the comments corner.
And shout out to Luce, Leo, and Luke on the way to school whenever they listen to this when Roland turns it on. So
Oh, wow. So they're going to become regulars. All right. Well, let's talk some baseball, ladies and gentlemen. And a pleasant good evening to you, wherever you may be. Amie, it turns out it was a really good week for the Dodgers. Uh, I guess it's always good when you get to play the Rockies of Colorado for three. But, the way they did the way they handled their business in Kansas City. Let's just say that. But you win 5 out of 6, and more importantly, Amie, you now have a 7-game lead over the second place Gigantes and a 7.5-game lead over the Showpots. And I know that we've talked about this in past episodes where we mentioned, every time the summer seems to come around, all of a sudden the Dodgers go on this really long winning streak and they tend to separate themselves. Amie, are we seeing the beginning of this, or is this just because we are no longer playing that 29-game stretch where every team we're playing is really good or really great or in the playoff hunt? And now the schedule has gotten a little soft when you have the Rockies, you have the Royals, and now you have La Medias Blancas coming into Los Angeles. This is, I think, where the Dodgers need to take advantage of this, right?
sure, but I think this is also where I'm just going to hit you 6.5 minutes in. That's baseball because these guys.
There we go, ladies and gentlemen. Drink.
Mhm,
Just
mhm.
remember, I'm not the only reason why you drink, and of course,
Whoa, hydrate, hydrate.
exactly. And this is where we stress what Amie says. Make sure when you play you play the game with water. Water, for those of you in Philadelphia, water, and not with alcoholic beverages, because especially if you're playing to my rules, you may end up really, doing damage to yourself. But
Very,
Amie, go
very
ahead.
inebriated. We want to save your livers. I will even say too, in the Dodgers' favor, they were the first one to 52. I think that now, obviously, the God, I was going to say the Lions, the Tigers have caught up. Whew.
Wrong sport. Wrong
I
sport.
know. My brain is very, very tired. And now they're both tied at 53, but Dodgers are still leading the league. So for everything that's happened, pitching, whatever people want to say, like, oh, the schedule's easier. We've also seen some of these teams play up to the Dodgers, and we've seen the Dodgers play down in some cases. So I think this is where, like, I just take it a game at a time, and I'm happy for them. We saw Kike do an interview with Dave Essay after yesterday's game, and he even said, he's like, we need that day off tomorrow. Like, they're tired. I'm tired from my life, and I'm not even playing baseball. Like, I don't even know how these guys do it day in and day out. I truly don't.
Amie, I want to go back to something you said, because while what you said is very true, I just want to say this because it drives me insane to hear it. So, again, this is not mom and dad fighting. This is us just exchanging ideas. But when you
Don't make
say,
me send you on assignment. Just
exactly,
kidding.
when you say stuff like, well, the Dodgers play down to certain teams or other teams play up to the Dodgers level, I will acknowledge there is truth to what you're saying. I think that does happen in sports. But the reason
But
but the reason why I don't like that
it's
is
because it's
we've
baseball.
no, because we've always harped on the fact that these guys are professionals.
Hmm.
And I know you're gonna push back on this for me, but when I hear people use those terms, to me, what it implies is, so what you're saying is not every game these players play hard, that they pick and
Oh,
choose their moment.
I don't think that at all. That's not what I'm not going to apologize because I'm not sorry. But if you took it that way, that was not my intention. Like,
No,
I
no, I don't take it that way, but there is a part of me that almost feels like when you say, okay, you play down, it's like, and it's true because I'm guilty of this. I've done this before when I was playing. You play teams that you think they suck. Well, I don't have to try as hard to beat them. I still
maybe
have
I
to do
shouldn't
this.
say it that way. I don't mean they play down like they're not going to play well, but it's more of that letdown that you were talking about last week. These guys hold themselves to such a high standard, but so many things can be true at once. The pitching can be decimated. Our bullpen is pitching more. I think they're leading the league in bullpen innings. You have all of these other factors, and they're tired. it doesn't matter if they're professionals. They're going to get tired. And I think some of those games, some of those ones are the ones that catch them. It's not that they're not playing well. It just happens to be a happy accident. And sometimes when it is like the Rockies or whatever, luckily we swept them this time, but we've seen some, like the Angels swept us. That's a team you wouldn't expect to sweep the Dodgers. And, here we are. So it's not that I don't think that they're playing well. I just think sometimes we've seen it historically that teams that everybody's like, oh, they're absolutely going to beat them. And the Dodgers sometimes struggle with playing those teams for whatever reason, and not for a lack of trying or thinking that they can just beat them. That's what seems to happen. So I'm happy to pick a different word to describe it, but that's what I mean when I'm saying it.
No, I'm glad you used that word because it's going to get me into what I want to talk about. But I just realized right now, bad host, I didn't start with updates, which is what we were supposed to start. So let's put a pin in this. We're going to come back to this because you set me up for what I really want to talk about, especially in that Colorado Rockies series. But in terms of updates, Amie, what updates do you have for us?
So I don't really have many. I was looking around on social media to see if I had missed any. There weren't really too many from the Dodgers either, from some of the emails that we get. So I just checked out their transactions page. Last Wednesday, they traded Nick Biddison, a right fielder, to Philadelphia. And then we saw some action between like Thursday and Sunday. So Thursday, they optioned Will Klein to Oklahoma City, and they activated Luis Garcia. So he was coming off the 15-day IL. We hadn't seen him since I believe the beginning of June. And then fast forward to Sunday, we recalled Noah Davis, the right-handed pitcher from Oklahoma City. And then we optioned right-handed pitcher Edgardo Henriquez to Oklahoma City. And then we activated him from the 60-day IL. And in turn, we DFA'd Luis Garcia, which he has carried a hefty amount of innings for the Dodgers. So to see him get DFA'd was, I can't be shocked, but it was very like, oh, okay. Hopefully he clears.
The Luis Garcia thing, exactly what you said. It's very predictable. I think there were a lot of Dodger fans that said this to me. They knew it was going to happen. They knew the DFA for Garcia was going to happen. Because of the injuries, because he himself had an injury, I think it was up in the air as to when it was going to happen because there's a numbers game that's being played with the bullpen. But I think everyone knew that he was going to get DFA'd. And I'll just say it. The Dodgers ran this kid into the ground, and I think they knew they were going to DFA him, and that's why they used him as much as they did.
They Brandon Morrowed him.
Well, you know what? And the thing, well, I don't know if you...
Well, not necessarily.
From last year?
Yeah.
Remember Ramirez from last year?
Yeah.
I feel like they used Luis Garcia the way they used Ramirez last year, where they used that guy a lot. They used him, and you just knew that long term he wasn't going to be a part of the plans. So I think that's what other Dodger fans recognized early on, was especially the way they were using him. They're like, oh, he's not long for the Dodgers. Maybe he stayed a little longer than most people thought, and it was because of the injuries. But thank you for your service.
Who knows? We might even see he might do one of those like clears waivers, accepts another assignment in Oklahoma City again. Weirder things.
Wouldn't be the first time, right, Amie?
Wasn't Ryan Lutos like we DFA'd him? He cleared waivers, came back, pitched, and then we like released him again, and now he's with the Nationals. So
we did it with Fire Eisen earlier this year.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, so it wouldn't be the first time. But I know Enriquez has been pitching in AAA, and it seems from the people who are reliable sources to me that watch those AAA games, he has looked good. So it's a fresh arm, which the Dodgers love to have fresh arms in the bullpen, especially now since we're getting close to the All-Star break. We're getting into July. The dog days of summer are coming, so getting fresh arms, I think, is really important.
And speaking of the All-Star break, there were questions asked this week to both Teoscar and Shohei about the home run derby and would they compete. And Teoscar gave kind of I thought a pretty thoughtful answer. Like he's not going to because he was tired after it last year, and because he's had that groin issue, he doesn't want to exacerbate it, so he's going to sit this one out. I saw a lot of comments online basically just, like, well, yeah, he's already won it. He got a World Series ring. Like, let somebody else kind of come in. And then Shohei isn't going to do it because he's busy elsewhere. Let's just say.
Look, I think they both gave very logical explanations as to why. I'm perfectly fine with Teoscar not doing it. I mean, he did it last year. Honestly, for me, I don't want to see any of the Dodgers in it, but I know that I understand the desire to see Shohei in it.
It's the
I
age-old question of, does it really impact you later in the season or not?
if you hear Teoscar, you have to believe that there is some truth to it because Teoscar said it did. I think, look, I get why the fans want to see Shohei, but I think Shohei's reasoning is legitimate. I don't think it's something he's making up to avoid going into the home run derby, but
I
he
don't even think
is.
he needs to give a reason. To me, I'm like, you are clearly focused health. Like, why? Like, what would be the purpose? He's already
Yeah,
done it.
exactly. What else do you got?
That's pretty much it. Tyler Glasnow did have an Oklahoma City rehab start on Friday. They were hoping for 3 innings pitched. I couldn't find anything online to see how well he did, so we're just gonna go with he pitched.
I'll let you know he did not do very well. He
Okay.
got hit hard. Well, like he gave up 4 hits, 4 runs, without. When you watch these games, when you watch a game, you can see, and when we're going to talk about it in the Colorado series, we'll even talk about it in the Kansas City series. You look at the numbers, and the numbers will tell you one thing, but if you watch the game, you can. And this with Tyler Glasnow, I did not watch Tyler Glasnow, so I don't know how it really looked. I don't know if his defense didn't help him. Because it's a rehab start, he may have been working on specific pitches and therefore he was leaving balls right over the plate. I think it's really hard to tell because it's his first rehab start.
Mhm.
Um, I know everybody wants to sit here and be like, they want to see him put up Emmett Sheehan numbers where he's like 6 innings of no hit ball. And it's
But
just,
Emmett Sheehan didn't even do that initially. He had they wanted him to go, I think, a couple weeks ago, 4 innings, and he went like 3.3 and a third. So it's
yeah.
not, he just, now, not to take anything away from Sheehan, he did just have a great start the other night, but he didn't come out from injury that way.
No, exactly. But that's what I'm saying. I think fans need to be realistic. I know because Emmett Sheehan just recently had that start in the minors that they want to see Glass now do something like that. And it's just, again, for me, I don't think you should expect Glass now back. And I'm sure the Dodgers are going to really take their time with him. I just think it's a real mystery in terms of what's going on with Glasnow. Is it physical? Is it mental? I just
Is
think,
it all of the above? I mean, I think it also comes down to wish in one hand, whatever in the other.
well, exactly. And that's why I think it's going to be very curious as we are now entering July and the trade deadline is coming on. What are the Dodgers? And we're going to get into that later on in the show. But for me, uh, I just don't. I don't really look. I hope he proves me wrong. I hope he comes back and he pitches really well because that's only going to help the Dodgers. Yes. Did I say something that offended you?
No, did you just have no expectations for once?
I had lowered expectations.
Wow. Oh my, it's almost like you're going to enjoy watching this sport a little bit more. Wow.
Well, look, I'm trying to learn from you. You are rubbing off on me. I'm trying to be more like Amy Cuevas. I'm not as successful, but I try to be as wonderful as you are.
Oh, please. You are wonderful in your own right. I'm very proud of you, though, for your lowered expectations.
Lowered expectations. Okay, so we're done with the updates.
Yep, that's all I had. I mean,
Okay.
we have a big one that we're going to talk about later, but yeah.
Yeah, we're going to save that one for later. I want to go back before I forgot that we hadn't done updates. But when we were talking, you had brought up 2 points that I thought were interesting. That whole, playing down or playing up. But you, in your explanation there, you talked about them being physically tired and them actually needing that day off. What I wanted to talk to you about in that Colorado series, look, the Dodgers swept the Rockies. it's really hard for me to give hardcore analysis of that series when the Dodgers won all three games. They did what they were supposed to do. But one thing that did, well, there were a couple of things that stood out for me, but primarily one thing that really stood out to me, and it's something that we haven't had an opportunity to talk about a lot on this show yet, and that is defense, and in particular, the Oscar Hernandez's defense.
I
Uh,
knew this was
the
coming.
Oscar this week really did not look good out in the outfield. And for people who cover this team, who watch every single game, watch every inning, they'll tell you that the Oscar Hernandez has not been good defensively all year long. This isn't just something new. I think a lot of people have said the best move is to move him to left field. Maybe
He's really good in left field.
move Andy Pacas to right field, and then give Tommy Edman some more time in center field. I wanted to talk to you because are the defensive woes, because, like you said, I don't remember him being this bad in the outfield. Now, he was playing left field the majority of the time last year. Could it be that he's been bad this year, Amy, because of what you mentioned? Maybe the hamstring is bothering him because he seems to be moving really, really slow. And in particular, this week, there were balls that he did not get to that I know a lot of people on the internet thought he should have gotten to them. Could it be, is it a combination of both? Is he just tired? Is he playing hurt? Is he trying to protect that injury, trying to protect that hamstring? What do you think of the Oscar Hernandez's defense this year?
I mean, he's had it a little bit rough. I'm trying to find it. Dodger Blue actually had a really good article on this where they were talking about just his defensive stats and whatnot. And obviously, I can't find it right now because they post all the time. But they were saying that basically, this isn't anything new for him. We just don't pay attention to it that much. So if you look at his stats this year and last year, it's not that he's doing worse this year. I think he's just had a couple rough games in a row where it makes it a lot more noticeable. But I mean, in my opinion, and there's no stats to back this up, I think he is more comfortable in left field. That's where I feel like he excels. It could also be just the fact, like what you said, he could be protecting that injury. If he's had that groin injury, they're all playing basically hurt. They just now moved Tommy Edman back out to center field because they were trying to nurse him in the infield so that they didn't exacerbate his ankle issue. And it's like Freddie's, I mean, he's still they're all a little battered at this point. They need the all-star break. So I mean, in light of the stats that he has, I don't know. He's never going to live up to what people want in right field, which is Mookie Betts. And he does a good enough job. I think he's a good player. But he's had a couple rough goes. You saw Miggy Rowe yesterday, especially in the post game when he was talking about it. He took off from second base yesterday and he ran out into right field and he's like, I knew if I got the chance, I was going to go pick up that ball. And he did. He went and made that catch, got the out, because we saw 2 or 3 plays, I think, where Teoscar just either it went over his head, he didn't get to it in time, he watched it fall. And it's just, I think it's just a combination of everything at once.
Well, I think because you mentioned Dave Roberts did announce that they feel good enough about Tommy Edman's ankle that you're going to see Tommy Edman more in the outfield now. So we have gotten, and we mentioned it earlier, we're getting very close to the trade deadline. So it's really now sink or swim. What are the Dodgers really going to do with Michael Conforto? And I think the thing is Michael Conforto really impacts the Dodgers in many different ways. Now, mind you, I think he's showing signs of he's been hitting the ball harder. He has, I mean, I know the numbers are still at the Chris Taylor level, but he has, the last couple of weeks, he has looked different at the plate. But the thing is here's how I think Michael Conforto impacts the Dodgers. Because he's playing left field, you have to keep Teoscar now in right field because the Dodgers don't have the DH option. It's Shohei. So you have to play Teoscar in the field, right? So because you can't play him in left, because you're giving Michael Conforto chances there, it impacts the Dodgers that way. Also, because of the fact that you have Conforto in left, Bacchus is playing fantastic. You can't give him a day off. You got to keep him in the lineup, and you have Teoscar out and right. That means Tommy Edman is playing second. And Tommy Edman playing second means that Hae-Sung Kim is not playing. This past week, we went a stretch, and you correct me if I'm wrong, I believe he went 4 days in a row without playing. And this is something that a lot of Dodger fans complain about, that when a player is hot, Dave Roberts finds a way to cool them off by not playing them. I know people want to see Hae-Sung Kim play more. Now, for me, Amy, are the Dodgers gotten to the point where I am a little surprised now that Conforto is starting to sit a little more? You're starting to see him.
You're seeing Kike out in left field. And to your point, Bill Plunkett actually wrote an article about Hae-Sung Kim because Dave Roberts did say he had earned more time. Now they are struggling to find him opportunities. So in the last, let's see, since that comment 12 days ago that Dave Roberts made, Plunkett's article said Kim has had just 11 at-bats and only one start in the past week. And it's all for the reasons you just mentioned, because Tommy Edman's getting moved around. I think they did give Michael Conforto a lot of leash. He was supposed to get around 150 at-bats, plate appearances, whichever one they were going by. And then he started to improve. So the signs of life, I think, extended that out a little bit more. And I mean, he just, what was it? In Tuesday's game, he hit a 3-run home run. And then the next day he hit a solo home run. So there are flashes, but is it enough? And that's the challenge, because you do have other players that, I mean, I know Kike isn't hitting where everybody would like him to, but he still is a little bit more versatile, that you can move him around the diamond, where Conforto really is relegated to left field. So if you do want to open that spot up to Teoscar to give him a little bit more, I don't know, just play where he's skilled at, you do have that logjam there.
That is a very, very good question. And that's the question I think the Dodgers need to answer by the end of July. And that is what you're seeing with Conforto. Is it, like you said, is this real, or is this just a phase? And the real Michael Conforto, at least for this year, is the one that we've been seeing for the first 3 months of the season.
Well, and you need somebody who you can count on as we get closer to September and then into those postseason games. Like, you can't, like, we're at the point where you can't continue to wait around. And so it is like, all right, we're at the proving point. All-Star break is like, okay, we're going to be making trades, et cetera, probably more pitching side. But do you carry the weight there, or do you start moving people around? And they do have people waiting in the wings as well.
I definitely feel like the goal is an arm, adding an arm, and maybe it'll be multiple arms. Definitely an arm for the starting rotation, definitely a bullpen arm. But I am curious if they will try to get another outfielder, and maybe one that will. What's really interesting is once we find out what's going on with Miguel Rojas, because I do think Miguel Rojas is going to miss some time. I know the X-rays were negative at the end of Sunday's game, but if he may miss some time, then you may see Hae-Sung Kim get more time in the infield as a result of that. But
it's not like Rojas has had that many games where it's been significant, where, like, I mean,
right, but it's a numbers game at this point.
Sure.
So it's one less body, so more of an opportunity for Hae-Sung Kim to actually get playing time.
Right. I guess really I'm more shocked when Rojas is in a game. I'm like, oh, they put him in. Okay, I haven't seen him in a couple days. Yeah. All right, he's still good.
I agree with you. But I think right now this is the point in time where, because this is the only time that you can make these acquisitions, what are they going to do? Will they just blindly give faith in that Michael Conforto is who he is, and he's going to come through? But I am curious to see if they do end up getting an extra outfielder, maybe to move Teoscar to left field, or is the move?
Do Do you need an extra outfielder though? Because we're talking about a logjam in the infield. If you move Teoscar to left, you've got Edman in center, and you've got Baez in right. Like you've kind of taken care of the problem. You've got Kike who can rove around the entire diamond, and you've got Muncy at third. You've got that Mookie Betts isn't going anywhere, and whatever happens with Rojas, you've got Hae-Sung Kim who can play second. So, and Freddie's just going to be at first. We know that. So, I mean, you've got some static positions there.
No, I think that's what the question is. I think there is a solution to this, but will the Dodgers do that? Yeah, I think the solution is if you subtract Conforto from the equation, I think it does solve the issue, but will the Dodgers be willing to do that?
Yeah. And that's you were mentioning like adding an arm, or not adding an arm, adding another like outfielder, but it's like, we've already got logjam issues. Do we need another outfielder at this point? Because then we're just going to be right back in the position that we're in. You're just kind of babysitting the bench with somebody. So they're just going to be riding the pine until somebody maybe needs them.
Well, the only reason why I say adding an outfielder is because, for me, I think the reason why they like Conforto is because of the left-handed bat. They want that left-handed bat, and
But you've got to have a left-handed bat.
Well, I think the Dodgers do subscribe to that theory. So I'm going to
Well,
be.
I'm sorry. I just mean like you've got to be able to hit with it though. So at that point, whether you have a left-handed bat or not, if it's consistently not hitting, you might. I mean, sometimes maybe just throwing the right-handed hitter in there is the solution.
Or is the solution cut bait on Conforto and trade for a left-handed bat that can play the outfield, that is consistently delivering, that is hitting? That's what I think. I don't know what the Dodgers are doing. And a lot of it is because it takes two to tango, what deal they can pull off. And
I'm curious who's available even at this point.
And what the price is,
Right.
if the price is going to be high, because I think the priorities are definitely going to be a starting pitcher and a relief arm. So what's going to be the price on those? Because I don't know if you've heard that. I've seen these rumors all the time. Sandy Alcantara from the Marlins of Miami. It seems like they're already putting out that rumor there, and I don't know if there's any truth to it.
I feel like they do this every year, and then nothing comes of it.
Well, and I know, and that's why I'm saying I don't know if it's being put out there to try to raise the price for Sandy Alcantara, if it's Alcantara's people that are putting out that rumor. But that's stuff that it's all things to keep an eye on. But for me, in that Rockies series, yeah, the Oscars defense really, and later on it reared its ugly head again in the Royals series. That is something to me that I feel sooner or later it needs to be tightened up, because we heard it all in the offseason. The reason why the Dodgers won the World Series is because the Yankees defense was poor. And you would hate to see that the Dodgers defense would cost them games in the postseason.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they're aware of it though, and if they got a sample size like this week, or like, they're going to be addressing it. So he's aware of it. You heard him in his. I mean, I'm glad we weren't there for that. Like, another saddest Christmas ever when he's holding himself accountable. Like, he knows he's not playing well. So I guess to me that's where it's like, we can't really do anything about it. He can't do anything about it except to improve or, figure it out. So it's, what are you going to do?
What are you going to do? What stood out for you in that Rockies series?
Muncy hit his second grand slam. He's had a pretty amazing past couple of weeks. I was looking at a bunch of, there were just stats all over the place for him. So before Thursday's game, they were saying in the past 36 games, he's hitting 321 with 10 home runs, 39 RBIs. And since May 31st, he's had 3 games with 6 or more RBIs, 2 games with 7, 3 multi-hit games, and 2 grand slams. For what we saw with no glasses in his 105 plate appearances, he was hitting 150. He had no home runs. I think he had 4 RBIs to go to with glasses. Now he's at 192 plate appearances, and he's hitting 296, 13 home runs, 49 RBI. Totally different player.
Absolutely. And again, if I'm somebody on the Dodgers, especially if I'm struggling offensively, I'm going to the eye doctor because this is the second year in a row that we've seen. We saw what happened with Kike. We saw what happened with Muncy. So maybe Muncy should be having a conversation with Michael Conforto. Hey, go see my eye doctor. That being
Hey,
said, look,
I got a guy.
Exactly. That being said, I think Muncy, is in a fantastic stretch after that horrific start that he had to the season. Muncy is great, and I want people to really pay attention to what I'm about to say. I preface this by saying Muncy is great. He's playing great right now. He's having a great stretch. People, please do not come at me and tell me that Max Muncy is better than Manny Machado. Therefore, he should be starting in the All-Star game ahead of Manny Machado.
First of all,
Because
who's coming at you?
if you are saying that to me, you are dishonest and you don't watch you don't watch baseball. Look, I get it that people
Who are
don't
you
like
fighting
Manny's.
with right now?
What's that?
Who are you fighting with right now?
I get messages just like you get messages. I get messages on my social media, and it's just like, look, guys, come
You
on.
get different messages than I get.
Manny Machado is a great player. He really is. I get it that you guys don't like his attitude, but defensively with the bat, I mean, Manny Machado deserves to be, the starting third baseman in the National League All Stars. But look, Muncy is fantastic. He's in a great stretch right now, and it's benefiting the Dodgers because of the fact Mookie's been inconsistent offensively. I really think that quad is giving Federico more of a problem than he is willing to admit to. So,
Well, it doesn't help when he's having to contort in all these positions to get some of these like last outs of the game.
to save Mookie Betts from another throwing error, I do think it's important. And you've said this many a times. It's never going to be all nine players are clicking all at once. You're going to go through stretches where a couple of players are carrying you throughout the season. And then when you start going down, then it's the other players now that are going to pick you up. So yes,
And in Mookie's defense, it wasn't him every time. There were a couple different plays where it was Tommy Edman involved. It was Pajes. So it's not Mookie every time.
No, I know. I just, for me, and I don't know if this is true, I don't have data to support it. It seems to me like the majority of Mookie's errors are throwing errors, not fielding errors. It seems like it's throwing. And it's interesting because he had a conversation. I forget who was the outfielder that he was helping in term. Oh, it was Hae-Sung Kim in terms because Hae-Sung Kim plays in the infield, so he throws a certain way when he's in the infield. And so when he's in the outfield, he has to throw a different way. And it was Mookie who was helping him with that, which is interesting to me because it's like Mookie's a great outfielder, and it seems that the majority of his errors in the infield are because of throwing. So
And those are things that are still going to happen. He doesn't have the years of muscle memory that he had in right field. So like it's what his second season doing this. So I mean, to me it's kind of natural that that's happening. The other thing that stood out, and I saw a lot of this on social media, was we saw a lot of rain delays this weekend, but there was a rain delay on Wednesday, and somebody said finally an act of God got Yamamoto some support in his outing on Wednesday. It was just like, oh, I mean,
and that totally was an act of God because the thing is if they don't lose, if that first baseman and the second baseman don't lose the ball in the air, the Dodgers don't score, and Yamamoto gets a no decision once again.
You mean almost like other teams drop the ball or don't judge the ball right or make it the same way the Dodgers sometimes do?
Look, I thought Eric Karros was right. I don't know if you heard the broadcast or you were watching the broadcast, but Eric Karros was like, if I'm the Rockies, I'm pissed at that umpire because it was coming down really hard.
Yeah.
And you decide to call the game after that play. So, I mean, the Rockies are having a horrible season. And to get done like that by that umpire, I don't think helps the cause at all. But yeah, poor Yamamoto. And like Dave Vassay has said this many times, every year there's one Dodger pitcher that for some reason will not get any run support. And this year it is Yamamoto. Many years it was Clayton Kershaw.
Somebody was like, tag, you're it.
Exactly. That's your initiation. Welcome to being a Dodger, Yamamoto.
And we did see some of the, like, just some great plays. So I just mentioned like Freddie kind of being on the receiving end of those. But like in that Thursday game, I mean, first we saw, of course, Shohei hit his 28th home run and he hit it into the bullpen. And I think Kirby Yates caught it because he was actually prepping to come back in. But Miggy Rowe, like he like turned too from, he was playing third base, and it was just a beautiful play to make it all the way over to Freddie. And then later on you see Pages throw it over to Freeman after he got the fly out. And I, if I'm not mistaken, I was like going over some of the stats. Colorado challenged that at the end of the game and lost, and Dodgers won. So
I mean, when you're the Rockies at this point, I mean, you have to grasp at straws, right? I mean, what do you got to lose?
I mean, well, and to be fair, they did have a runner on. So like if you have the opportunity to potentially tie the game, yeah, you're gonna, you have the opportunity, you can. I mean, there was another play, I think that the broadcasters were calling out that at one point the game should have been over, but they hadn't quite called it. And the umpires looked to the dugout and like gave the other team the opportunity to be like, are you gonna challenge? Are you not? Where it's the umpire should be calling that and letting, like, if the manager wants to call it, like, you shouldn't be deferring to them, which I thought was interesting. I couldn't figure out which game it was because we had so many weird, like, game ending plays in this last one and so many different challenges. I will say the Dodgers have been challenging better lately, so you're not seeing them lose those challenges, but also like they've been making some stellar moves in those cases.
I do want to add one more thing about Yamamoto. Last week, I know we had gotten into, I was confusing you with his ERA. So in the month of June, his ERA was over 4. So
I didn't realize you were talking about June. That's why I was like, what? No.
Yeah. I mean, look, for me, drink, everybody. It was very encouraging. Maybe this will be a start that his last start there with the Rockies. Now, of course, you take it with a grain of salt because it was the Rockies, but you hope that maybe now he's going to be trending in a better direction with that last start. For me, what's so funny though, Amie, is right now I think there's a couple of people, and we'll talk about them when we get to the Kansas City series. But don't look now. But there was a stretch last year when you could make the argument that Clayton Kershaw was the best Dodgers pitcher before he got hurt. All of a sudden, he's put a stretch of pitching performances back to back where you could, I think, make an argument that in terms of right now, he might be the best Dodger starting pitcher. I thought, I know in the last episode we talked about at least 2 starts. It would take 2 starts for him to get to 3,000. That last game against the Rockies, I was like, oh my gosh, he might actually do it in Colorado.
I was
Oh,
like,
I
he
would
better
love-
not do it in Colorado.
Exactly. I think you want him to do it at Dodger Stadium. You want him to do it in front of the home crowd. But I am just really impressed by this stretch of games that Clayton Kershaw. And again, it's one of those things. I know the question has been asked a lot of times with all these pitchers and their injuries, and a lot of people have pointed at velocity. And you look at Clayton Kershaw, and I know he is a very special breed. Not everybody can be Clayton Kershaw. But here's the example of a dude who's no longer throwing hard, but he's finding way to get outs. He's finding ways to be efficient with his pitches. He's finding ways to keep his team in the game.
Which just
Right.
makes the argument against all of the pitching that is trending towards velocity and all of these potential injuries that we're seeing. Like, it can be done. It was done before.
Yeah.
Did you, like, his stat line just from that game alone was pretty impressive. 69 pitches, 41 for strikes. Like, just the fact that he only threw 69, but he went 6 innings and 2 hits, 1 run, earned run, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts, 1 home run. Like, I just, and then you're kind of counting down as we're like getting closer to 3,000, and I'm just like, what? No, no, no.
Yeah.
Okay. And I want him to do well. Like if he was going to do it in Colorado, absolutely. I'm not going to try to I'm never going to be that person putting any bad juju on anybody, but I really would like to see him do it at home. So when they announced this Wednesday will be the game that he's going to be pitching, like, everybody, like if you like milestones like that, this is the game to go to.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a hot ticket. It'll be a hot ticket next week. But again, it's one of those things where, knock on wood, whatever you got to do. I hope he can stay healthy and
Particle
just,
board.
yeah, and just finish the season. Because again, it's really impressive. That is what he is doing right now is what you literally would describe as pitching.
Well,
He
and Plunkett had a good stat for him in one of his articles. Like I promise it's not just Bill Plunkett that I look at, but he just happened to be the one that was
because
like,
he's your friend. I get it.
no,
You guys are
stop,
buddies now.
stop. I had OptiStats and MLB Insider. Like I have a bunch of different places I get mine from. But he had a really cool one where Clayton Kershaw, when he does hit his 3,000th strikeout, he'll be the 20th pitcher in MLB history with 3,000 Ks. Only 3 other left-handed pitchers have done that of the 20, and only 2 of the 19 that have done it so far did it with one team. So he'll be only the 3rd person out of that 20 to have accomplished that with one team. Like, just the stats and the history. No, because he did not list that out. Oh. And I didn't look it up farther than that because, like I said, it has been a busy couple of weeks. So you get what you get.
I get it. I appreciate it. Is there anything else in that Colorado series that stood out to you that you want to address?
So I did get irritated, and it wasn't even that long of a delay, but not the rain delay, but when they were getting ready to start Wednesday's game, for whatever reason, and I think it happened in Colorado before, the pitcher didn't come out on time. So you could see Dave Roberts getting irritated at the beginning of the game, and I'm like, I'm in between things, and I'm like, all right, I got my scorecard, I'm ready to go, and I'm like, wait, where's the game's not on? And then they're talking about late start, the pitcher's still in the bullpen doing some stuff, and then he comes out and he still has to throw his pitches on the mound. And then when I saw Dave Roberts upset, I was like, justifiably so. Like, what are we doing? How did you not know what time the game started? But again, a little grace, but
it did happen in Colorado, and the last time it happened in Colorado, you know who got super pissed about it and was ready to throw down and fight?
Was it Clayton Kershaw?
It was Kershaw.
Yeah, because Kershaw hates that.
Yeah, Kershaw was ready to go out there and fight the whole Rockies team because of that late. The same thing that happened.
You don't mess with his thing. Like, you don't mess with the timing. And I just how does it get away from you? There's schedules everywhere.
That's the one thing that I look. I know I've officially become a member of the Kike fan club now. Ever since he's the only player on this team that spoke out about what's going on in Los Angeles. But I did really enjoy his interview with Vassay when Vassay asked him about Kershaw, and when Kike said, "I also learned, to not talk to him when he pitches." And it's one of those things that you would think that Kershaw would lighten up now that he's getting older and the end is near. That guy's a red ass. I think he's always been a red ass, and it's probably the reason why he's as great as he is. But he has his routines, and he definitely sticks to those routines, and you better not mess with his routine.
I don't think that's a red ass thing. If you were a creature of habit, like I am, there was nothing impacting me with that game starting late. If anything, I was kind of rushing from one thing to another, and it gave me a couple minutes grace to get the rest of my scorecard ready. But it was still it was the principle of this is when we're supposed to start. So I get it. So some of us are wired differently where rules and things mean stuff, and other people, it just rolls off of them and they don't care. And
what do you think when I say red ass, what do you think I mean?
I honestly, I don't think anything you can call him that. I understand having structure. So you could call him whatever you wanted, and I would still be but if he wants his structure, I get it. The word doesn't matter to me.
To me, a red ass is someone that's always pissed off, and he's pissed off for no reason. Yeah. And that to me is it's fascinating because
I think because I read his book, I don't think of him as a red ass, but I don't know.
But that's to me what's fascinating about him is I think the Clayton Kershaw off the field is a completely different Clayton Kershaw than on the field.
100%.
And the
100%.
Clayton Kershaw that you see on the field is a red ass. It is a don't talk to me, don't mess with me, leave me alone. And that to me is what I think of when someone says red ass. It's one of those like, you know, just always like, yeah, I'm sorry I'm breathing, man. I'm sorry I'm stealing air from you. It was
I
not
see, and
like,
this is where I take a different stance. I think we're different. Like at work, we always have to take like the disc assessment every so often. And while I'm an S and a C, and one of them is like I want everybody to be happy, and like I want all like what can I do to help you? What can I do to make you better? But also I'm very structured. So if you veer out of like this is like last week, I think we were recording. I'm like, wait, you're jumping to the end of the series, but like before, that's just how my brain works. I'm not mad at you. I'm not like whatever, but it's just this is how my brain operates. So I think in some of those cases, like to me, I don't necessarily think he's mad all the time. He just has his thing like don't bug me. I'm like that in some aspects at work. I will be the nicest person. I will bend over backwards and do whatever. But if we're in the middle of a meeting and we have structure that we need to follow, like you need to be following the procedure. And those two things are in conflict, and it's not always an easy line to balance. And like Kike is the prime example of the opposite. Like you see him in the beginning and the end of that interview with Vasse, and he's like, I'm only doing this for Kershaw or whatever. And then whatever he said at the end, and it was just like, God, he's so Kike. Like he's just he is Mookie is the heart and soul of the team. Roja, like they all have their place. And Kike is just he is like the lighthearted, just energy lifter on that team. And I just adore him for that.
absolutely. So are we ready to move on to Kansas City, or do you have
Oh my
anything
gosh,
else?
we're finally moving on to Kansas City. We had a lot to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else on the Rockies of Colorado?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, so here is my takeaway from that Kansas City series. The Oscars defense was on display. I really want to talk about Dustin May, Amie, and that is, I think you can't talk about Dustin May without saying he's coming back from his second Tommy John.
Mm-hmm.
He's got these struggles, but he has been very frustrating to watch this year. And it's gotten to the point where I think he's in the rotation right now out of need because of the injuries. But once Emmett Sheehan comes back, and another guy that we're going to talk about as soon as Dustin May, but what Robleski is doing right now, if Robleski continues
Amazing.
to do this, I think it's going to be very hard to not only keep Dustin May in the rotation, but for Dustin May to actually have a spot on the major league roster. I think Dustin May, once this rotation gets healthy, I think is a candidate. I don't even know if he's a candidate to go in the bullpen, to tell you the truth. I think he's a candidate to be sent down because what to me, Amie, and I don't know if this is a result of his second Tommy John, but he's only throwing two pitches. And when you're a starter, there's no way you can have success in this league with two pitches. He just throws the sinker and he throws that sweeper. And it just, like I said, I know that Kansas City game, he only pitched 4 innings. I mean, he made a lot of pitches. His efficiency, he was the anti-Kershaw from the Colorado game. And I know you can sit there and argue, well, if the Oscar makes that play in right field, his numbers don't look that bad. Yeah, his numbers don't look that bad, but it does, his pitch count was still high, and you're not getting that pitch efficiency, and it just seems it's not getting any better. I think what you're getting is you are getting consistently ineffective performances from him, and again, the only reason why he's in the rotation is because of injuries. What do you see when you see Dustin May?
I'm looking at the numbers, and he's giving up anywhere from like 2 to 5. I think in some cases more runs. It's about the 2 to 3, but I think what we're seeing is that happens early on in a game, and as we know, the Dodgers have barely struck first in a majority of their games, and a lot of them are comeback wins or come from behind. But if you are already at a deficit when you're starting, it's hard to build that momentum to come back. And if you're having one of those days where the pitching just isn't working, the defense isn't working, and your offense is struggling to find hits, like it's like all three are just not working at the same time. And I think it's unfortunate where we're saying Yamamoto doesn't necessarily get the run support. I think Dustin May is having like the perfect storm of his pitches aren't going where he wants, the other team's taking advantage of that, and then on top of that, if our defense can't back him up, it really is left up to the offense at that point. And how do you come back from those deficits every time?
Did you see his post-game interview on Friday?
I probably did, but I have not. I don't have it memorized. What stood out for you?
What stood out for me is I felt bad for all the beat writers in there
Uh-oh.
because Dustin May clearly was so pissed at his performance, fuming. He wasn't giving them anything, but yet they kept asking him questions. And I'm just like, let's cut the interview short. Okay. He fulfilled his interview responsibility. But after 2 or 3 questions, you guys know he's pissed. And I know that feeling. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I know what it feels like to
asked and answered.
Exactly. I know what it feels like to be asking a player about their crappy performance, and you can tell from their body language, from their voice, they are pissed. They don't want to talk about this, but it really, here's the subtext. I think what was coming out of Dustin May is like, you guys know I sucked today. Why do you keep asking me these questions? I just sucked. I don't know why I sucked. If I knew why I sucked, I would have fixed it and I would have pitched better. That's
okay, now I'm remembering. Yeah.
That's like, what the subtext was. And I just felt so bad. And I was just like, somebody just end this, put this out of this, put everyone out of their misery, because there is no value add any longer in this interview.
Well, and then it becomes in those games where he's pitching, like he doesn't feel great about it, which sucks because you don't want a player going out. Like this game is hard. We always talk about the mental health side of it. Like that sucks. And it's hard to clear out that head trash before your next start, especially when this consistently is happening. But then on top of that, you have all the chatter around about how much the bullpen is having to pick up starting pitching, all the injuries. And what you hate in pitching is the more relievers you bring in, the more opportunity for somebody to have a bad day. And that's what we see sometimes. So then it gets exacerbated. And you're seeing some of these games where it's like, okay, well, Dustin May gave up 4 runs and then Kasparius came in and he gave up 6 runs. And it's like, oh, well, that was, different game. I'm looking at my numbers a little bit differently. I was looking at it as if it was the same game pitched. But my point being, like, if the other pitchers are giving up that, all right, I'm losing my train of thought at this point because it's hot and it's been a long day.
Okay.
Okay. I've got the right page now. We are good. We are golden. Okay. Nobody else gave up any runs in that game. So it was just him. So you had Luis Garcia, Lou Trevino, Anthony Banda, Alex Vesia, and Tanner Scott come in. And they all gave up, a hit or two. But nobody else scored any runs during that game. So it was the four that they had to overcome. And luckily, Shohei hit a home run. You had Max Muncy hit a 2-run homer. And then you've got, some walks and triples came into play. And they were able to outscore the Royals by 1.
Look, and maybe this is part of the reason why also Dustin May is pissed, is because he sees the same thing we're seeing. He knows, okay, Emmett Sheehan is coming. Bluesky is pitching really great right now. Blake Snell started throwing again. Again, I don't think we can expect Blake Snell until after the All-Star game. But if Blake Snell comes back, and then plus, we don't know what the Dodgers are going to do at the trade deadline. Let's say they do trade for another starter. All of a sudden, that rotation is going to get really, really crowded. And at least for right now, it seems like Dustin May is the number 1 candidate for pitching himself out of the rotation. It is frustrating to see, especially everything this guy has gone through, not only the 2 Tommy John surgeries, but the throat surgery that almost killed him.
I hope he finds it. I mean, if there's anybody that can help him find it, I think it is this team and this pitching staff. So like the training staff is, I mean, if anybody can help him, like figure it out, they're going to do it. So I just hope he gets the confidence back even every time he goes out on the mound to just trust, he's hopefully gonna turn it around.
It just really sucks because this is the last year of his contract, Amy. And it's like if he wants to get paid, not only does he, if he wants to get paid, if he wants to get signed by another major league team next year, his performance has to change because I'm sure a lot of people are looking at it going, is this guy done?
Which is so interesting because I feel like we went through this with Walker Buehler last year, coming off of Tommy John, and everybody in their short memory, like, he did do great in the postseason, but it was a little bit of a struggle getting through and him getting sent down. And we don't know. Maybe Dustin May is dealing with some kind of injury that we don't know about. But now you hear all the rumors of like, well, if the Boston Red Sox are ready to like let Buehler go, would the Dodgers bring him back? And it's like, oh gosh. Like,
no, I pump the brakes. Go look at Walker Buehler's ERA right now.
No, I know that, but this is what's being floated around, and it's like, God, I just sometimes I wonder. We all watch baseball very differently.
No, look, you bring up a valid point. I've heard those same rumors out there myself, but the same conversation that we're having about Dustin May right now is the conversation that Boston is having about Walker Buehler, and it was the conversation we all had about Walker Buehler last year. It was
That's my point. Like that's
Yeah.
my point. He comes back and he's really good in the postseason. But that's one of those, like, if we had kept him, it would have been for the postseason. And we might be dealing with the same challenges that Dustin May is facing right now until hopefully he can kind of figure it out. Because we are in June, about to be in July, but he's only been pitching for 3 full months since coming back from surgery. And it's not like he's pitching every day. He's in a rotation. So while I know everybody would like to see him get better, I'm sure he's the first person on that list who wants to see that too.
And what's really interesting, as I've mentioned him twice already, the run that Robleski is on. I have to say, I don't know that I saw this coming. I know he showed signs of it last year, but he is consistently going out there and delivering him. And all I'm saying is thank goodness for Robleski, because where would this Dodgers rotation be without Robleski? So not only that, but
And you can see the confidence in him too, which is just, it's
yeah.
good to see. Like, good for him. Like, you're finding it. It's whatever you're doing is paying off. Like, good for him.
I'm curious if they're going to continue to use the opener with him. I kind of would like to see him start a game from the beginning and see, what he does there. But I'm just very encouraged by what Robleski's doing. And he's earned, I think, a spot in the rotation, at least until the rest of these guys get healthy. So I want to see more of Robleski out there. First time we saw Shohei do 2 innings, Amy.
I know. And pretty, like, he made quick work of it. 27 pitches, 20 first strikes. He only 1 hit, a walk, a strikeout, like, pretty efficient 2 innings. It was a little weird because they were the visiting team. So you saw him in the bullpen warming up. Then he had to run out, get all geared up to go bat. And then he had to run back out, get ready to pitch. And like, that was the up down for 2 innings. And the umpires are giving him grace, but it's still a little bit of a rush. Like,
yeah, not only that, I've seen him
especially
rush
when
off.
you're on the road.
Yeah, not only that, but rushing off the mound to go into the dugout or coming from the dugout.
Well, and
to the
he's not
mound.
even going all the way in the dugout. They're bringing his stuff up, and he's over in the on deck circle, like getting all his little whatever. I saw they gave him a stool this time. So like when I saw him pitch last Sunday, he was leaned up against the side and like putting on all his pads. And when he was in, I think it was Kansas City, it's all a blur at this point. Like, he had a little stool where he was fastening everything up. So I'm like, good for them. Give him a seat.
He's looked better every single time he's gone out there. I'm still just amazed by the velocity. I mean,
What was it? 101.7, if I'm not mistaken. I think that
yeah.
was his record. Hold on, I have the stat. Bear with me.
Give me the stats.
So 101.7 miles per hour. So that's the fastest pitch by a Dodger this year. It was a 4-seam fastball, but that's also the fastest of his career. And his previous record was 101.4, and that was on September 10th, 2022, against Kyle Tucker, against the Astros. So the fact that he has beaten his career best to date, like, and he's only on his third start, like basically rehab start, because while he is pitching in MLB games, we know that this is his rehab assignment while also DHing. Like, just I mean, how does he do all this?
Look, the Dodgers took 2 out of 3 in Kansas City, and I know that the Royals are not playing like they were playing last year, but they still have some hitters on that team. And they were out hitting the Dodgers in those first 2 games. So for the Dodgers to win that series, again, I'm just super impressed by what they're doing in the regular season with the pitching staff the way it is. And offensively, when your superstars are struggling and you still find ways to win, again, what can you say about a team that wins 5 out of 6 on the week? And
There are people, I don't agree with them. There are people who will say something. I did feel, so Saturday I needed a day, like, just to do nothing. So I went to the beach and took my transistor radio, but I could feel your eyes rolling in the back of your head all the way from Sunset Beach, because Miguel Rojas came in to pitch as a position player. And I was like, oh no.
yeah, again, Amy, I just remember when we had this conversation at the back of the in the beginning of the season, it was like, oh, come on, realistically, Juan, how many times does this happen? For me, it seems like it's happening at least once a week, but I'm sure the numbers don't back that up. But I mean, it sure does seem like we've been seeing a lot of Kike. And now, I mean, it got to the point where I saw some comments on social media when they were like in that game on Saturday, they're like, they better not bring in Kike. They better not bring in Kike. Like,
And they were like, bet we won't. We'll bring in Rojas.
Exactly.
So Codify actually posted something about home runs allowed by position players, not counting Ohtani. I'm not even gonna read the other 2 names because I'm gonna butcher them. Okay, I'll try it. Ankiel and Kishnik.
Rick Ankiel, because he got the yips, so there was a point where they put him out in the outfield.
Oh, bless his heart. Okay. Well, from 1992 to 2007, because Mike Piazza is the one who brought this up, there were 12 position players who pitched. From 2008 to 2016, 12 again. And from 2017 to now, there have been 231 position players pitching. Wow. So Mike Piazza's comment was, I just don't understand, in 20 plus seasons of major, minor, and winter league ball, I've never faced a position player as a pitcher except Felix Rodriguez, who started as a catcher, and Tommy converted him to a pitcher through 97, blah, 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 blah. But I feel that there is merit to what Mike is saying, but at the same time, like, we are not in the era where pitchers are going, 7+ innings, actually pitching complete games. We're lucky if they go 4. It's amazing if they go 6, and you're shocked if somebody goes 7. So we're just in a different era in pitching, where this is just things are different.
Things are different, but that's drastic, Amy. That, I mean,
it is, but you've also got to factor in so many things of, like, the injuries to pitchers, the fact that bullpens are already taxed. Like, something in the game needs to change, and right now nothing is changing. So the only thing people can do is you either continue to tax your bullpen and you hurt people, or you find a workaround. And right now, position players is a workaround. So until MLB wants to either get, broaden rosters and add more pitchers to it, do we even have the pitchers in the league that we can do that? Or fix the velocity issue that's potentially creating more injuries, fix it all the way down to the high school and college levels. Like, it's such an endemic problem that you're not going to not see position players pitching until we start making changes around the league in multiple different areas.
we all know how I feel about this, but I am curious. I think every once in a while people did get a kick out of it and they enjoyed it, but seeing it happen on a regular basis now, do people still enjoy it? Do people still think this is cool to see a position player pitch?
I can't speak for everybody, obviously, because I watch the game differently. But for me, like, it's not that I enjoy it. I can't change anything about the game. We're in it. So I'm going to try to find the good in it. There are some people, as I was kind of looking across social media in conjunction with some of these posts, and it's like, oh, when I see this, I just leave the game. And that's your right. You get to do that. Like, not everybody loves it. I don't know that anybody necessarily loves it. I mean, maybe kids do because it's kind of cool to see, but what are we going to do? Like I said, until somebody makes a change, like there's broad sweeps in this sport, this is the way that it's going. That's also why you see the ghost runner on second. You could continue to go into like 15 inning games, but what's that going to do to your pitchers for the next day? And some people say that's the competition in the sport, but like our pitchers, not just the Dodgers, are all limping along at this point. You're not trying to like hurt them further. So necessary evil, I guess.
This is the way. This is the way.
This is the way.
For you Star Wars fans, this is the way. Anything else you want to bring up about the Royals series?
Well, Will Smith did hit his 10th home run, so now the Dodgers have 7 hitters with more. They're in the double digits as far as home runs, which I thought was kind of cool. They did have a Negro League celebration yesterday. We're recording on Monday, so Sunday's game. So you did get to see the Royals wearing the away hats for the Kansas City Monarchs, and that was in honor. They were talking about it on the broadcast, basically, of the away game that Jackie Robinson and the team were, they stopped at that gas station. The guy wasn't going to let them use the restroom. So Jackie Robinson stood up for it and was like, hey, it's basically the scene in the movie that you see in 42, but all right, cool. We'll get our gas somewhere else. And so then the shop owner allowed them to use the facilities, which just mind-blowing, but still, but just getting to see them wearing those hats. The Dodgers were wearing Brooklyn hats, and just celebrating the history of the game and things that we've added to it, especially bringing in the Negro Leagues numbers into the stats and everything like that. So kind of cool.
I do think it's cool. There is the Negro League Museum in Kansas City, so I love the fact
on my list. Oh my gosh.
I just do love the fact that every time the Dodgers go to Kansas City, you're going to get a reminder of the Negro League, and then so you'll have people who will ask questions like, "What is the Negro League?" and you get an opportunity to learn about it, a way to keep it alive. So I do love that aspect that I feel is very specific to Kansas City. So I'm glad that they found a way to honor that, especially with the Dodgers being in town.
Well, and so this was the first time that Shohei has actually pitched in Kansas City because his schedule just didn't line up. They were talking about this on the broadcast, but they did mention this too. Like with Shohei coming to the game, this is an opportunity for people who normally maybe were not so involved with baseball to also learn about that history. So you've got a lot of people who are learning about this for the first time that didn't even know that this was a facet of it. And so you're able to bring that education to more people. So I mean, if nothing else, I think we need a baseball Shangri-La field trip. So,
oh, for sure. I mean, when I go to that stadium, I'm definitely going to that Negro League baseball.
We need to figure that out. We also had just a bunch of like random but cool stats. Muncie tied with Matt Kemp. He's the 4th Dodger all time with 203 home runs. Pages had his first walk of June. When they said that during the game, I was like, wait, what?
So I know Andy Pages is a Cuban, but he hits like a Dominican, man. He doesn't walk off the island. He hits his way off the island.
And then we already talked about Rojas making that play, but just some of the plays around that game, like Freddie Freeman, just even with a strain, I think it's his hamstring or a groin strain, but just gosh, the athleticism that he displays when he like grabbed that ball, was all stretched out and then kind of rolled. It wasn't quite a Rich Hill roll, but it was still just like he tumbled off the base. It's like, God, I hope he didn't pull something. It's spectacular play, but still.
I know that Federico gets recognized for his offense, and he's just a fabulous hitter. But man, they are at least once a game when I watch Federico play defense. I always, ask my wife, ask my daughter. I'll be like, damn, Federico, like he is just. I don't think he gets enough credit defensively, really, as how good he is as a first baseman.
And injured, where it's just like, gosh, like he's amazing to watch. And of course, I'd be remiss if I didn't say this, especially for the unofficial fan club, but Kike is the one who kind of turned around that Sunday game with that two-run home run in the top of the second. So
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. The obligatory Kike fan club mention. So
Yep. So I mean, like you said, 5 out of 6, not too shabby.
not too shabby at all. Anything else about Kansas City?
I don't have anything. Did you have anything?
I don't, but let's go to our old friend alert. I think you have an update, right?
Yes, so it was announced. I saw it on MLB Trade Rumors, but I think it was broken a little bit earlier. Austin Barnes got signed by the San Francisco Giants to a minor league deal. So as we know, they're going to prorate a portion of the MLB minimum. So that's all the Giants will have to pay him because the Dodgers are still on the hook for the $3.5 million that they owe him. So they're getting him ready. It looks like they're kind of fast tracking him right now. And they're saying that, basically Buster Posey recognizes game recognizes game. So for some of the stuff that Austin Barnes knows about catching, thinks he'll be a good asset to the Giants organization.
Look, the Giants are going through it right now. And this is supposed to be a soft spot in their schedule. They just got swept by the Marlins of Miami. They lost 2 out of 3 against Las Medias Blancas. And all of a sudden, they're 7.5 games behind the Dodgers. I am very curious if we do see Austin Barnes in a game where it's Giants and the Dodgers. We talked about this when it happened. Was there going to be a team in the National League West that was going to take a flyer on them to try to pick their brain? I will just say this. The other day, my daughter went to an Angel game, and she came home and she said, hey, does Chris Taylor even play for the Angels? And I was just like,
he's injured.
He's hitting 200. I mean, these things happen. I'm curious.
Isn't he still on the IL, or did he come back already?
You know what? You might be right. He still might be on the IL, but I'm curious. I'm sure he's going to get a great reception when the Giants play the Dodgers at Dodger Stadium. But do you think that Austin Barnes will deliver a big hit against the Dodgers this season?
100%. Like, how do you not? Like, I mean,
so you think he will get his revenge?
I don't know that it'll be revenge. I think anybody's gonna want to play up when it's the team that released you. So, or Taylor got released. Barnes got DFA'd, but still. So, I mean, he's gonna do his best.
And I think that's a right amount of time to spend on a backup catcher who signed a minor league deal with the Giants. But
I'm surprised it took this long. I will say that, especially because the Dodgers are holding the bag for the majority for that contract. So, like, if you only have to pay the league minimum, why wouldn't you pick up a catcher?
Well, I think it probably goes to show you it seems like the Gigantes are in a pretty dire situation right now, and that's why they decided to sign Austin Barnes. How long he will stay on the Giants, I think, will all depend. As long as, this may be just a funk for the Gigantes, but if this is a downward spiral for the rest of their season, I am curious if Austin Barnes will, because they made a trade for Rafael Devers. And if you make that trade, I especially in that game that you hated, that's all they talked about in ESPN. It seemed like the Giants were all in, that they were going to be in there for the whole season. And yes, they
might still be like, this is, like you said, this might be a rough stretch because that's a baseball, but it just it's going to happen. People, if they continue to, like, if they were to spiral, then, like, again, this just to me falls into the just have no expectations, take it a game at a time. We'll see what happens, because we could be like, they're 7.5 games back, and then we're scoreboard watching towards the end of the season. So it's, to me, I'm like, I just don't have that kind of energy right now to chase the what if game. Like, I'm just trying to make it through the day at this point.
Lowered expectations.
Even lower than lowered. I just don't have any.
Let's transition to our last topic here, and that is what happened with Ketel Marte of the
Set it up, partner. Set it up.
No, go ahead. You set it up,
Oh, just
or do you want me to do it?
oh no, it's fine. I don't want to tear up, but it's fine.
If you
So
have a hard time, I'll do it. I'll do it.
so last week there was a heckler when the Diamondbacks were playing, and somebody behind their dugout was shouting things at Ketel Marte, and you know how much I hate this. And the guy said some stuff about his mother, and I don't know if the guy knew or not. This is why you just don't say mean things to people. But Ketel Marte's mother passed away in a car accident several years ago, and so it really upset him. You could see him during like a break on the field that he was crying. The manager came out. They had the fan kicked out of the stadium. It now turns out that MLB has banned him from all ballparks. But this is the thing where we baseball differently. We fan differently. I don't understand where this fits in the game. I know some people will say that, oh, well, this is the extreme side of heckling, or people are soft and they should be able to take it. And it's like, but why are we yelling at players? Like, why?
And for those who haven't seen the video, this wasn't just like that great Simpsons episode when they were all chanting Daryl, Daryl, and they were like sitting there telling him, it's like, oh, stop doing that. And it's like, no, Mom, he likes it. And then they cut to Daryl Strawberry with one tear going down his cheek. That wasn't it. Like, Marte was visibly upset. I would say he was sobbing on
Mm-hmm.
the field. And
Mm-hmm.
kudos to his manager, kudos to his teammates that picked him up and were really supporting him on the stage. Now, I don't know what other comments, but I know Marte confirmed that what this fan said was, I texted your mom last night.
Last night.
Now, I don't know if he said anything else. I think that was the only thing that Marte confirmed what was said. And yeah, it's gotten completely out of hand. I I don't think, correct me if I'm wrong, Amy, the fans in Yankee Stadium didn't get banned from all major league ballparks. They just got banned from Yankee Stadium, or did they get banned from all major league?
No, I think they got a major league ban.
They got a major league ban. Okay. So here, two things here. One is I initially, when I heard it was a ban from all major league ballparks, I was like, how sad that the punishment has to be this extreme to try to stop it. And then the second thing I thought to myself was, how are they going to enforce this? Like, is he going to, does every stadium have a picture of this guy as most wanted, and they're not going to let him go into the stadium?
I think it comes down to kind of what we talked about with the other guys from the Yankees side, is like, if they cause additional problems and they get kicked out, like it's oh wait, you weren't supposed to be here in the first place. So like there's no way that everybody can control this. I think this just, for me, this falls under just unacceptable, because you're not hearing just Ketel Marte or Torey Lovello. Like, players are coming out and saying this is unacceptable. The way that people are treating baseball players, like, we should be not exalting them, but like they are leaving everything out on the field. They are putting their heart and soul into this, and this is the thanks that they get. Like, I think player's wife, I think I sent it to you in a text, ended up posting some of the stuff that she and her husband get on a regular basis. People just commenting, saying the most awful things. And it doesn't matter if it's on social media, somebody sliding into their DMs, or it's at the ballpark. To me, it's just unacceptable. I shared, I think, a few episodes back that I was in the pavilion when a dad was teaching his son to talk about the player in left field's mother. And what the kid was shouting awful things. And to me, it's akin to that episode in 42. I mean, it wasn't the racist remarks that they were using, but it was that dad teaching the kid to like yell these things out. And I just don't like why you as a fan are not going to get into their head that much. Like, they're professionals, but if the point is to get into their head and to do it so cruelly, like, what does that say about you? Like, why? Do you think that's going to be the turning tide of the game, and that's how you want to win it? Like, it's the same thing as like grabbing balls, like interference or almost interference. To me, it's like, you are not part of the game. You are not the player on the field. If you don't have a jersey on, sit back and watch the game.
Hulk, there's a lot of damaged people in the world. And I made the mistake once of saying to somebody, "Who hurt you?" And then I said it in jest. And now I don't really say that anymore, Amy, because I think there is truth to when I say who hurt you. When people act in a certain behavior, I think it comes from a source of pain. Because I agree with you. I don't think there's any way of looking at this of it going, how does this make this fun? How does this bring joy?
And
And
to the people around you, not even the baseball players.
yeah, look, as a society, we have a problem.
And it's a choice too, because you say who hurt you, and hurt people, however you want to throw that out. But it's a choice. Like, we all have whatever we carry in this life. I've had a lot of stuff happen to me. My choice in this life is I want to treat people better than how I got treated, because I don't want anybody to ever feel how I felt in any situation. And so it's a choice if you decide to bring that cruelty out and bring it on other people. And people need to do better.
Yeah, I think it was very jarring to see his reaction on the field, and then to find out later on what triggered, because I kept seeing the footage being shown, and you could tell the announcers, they didn't know, like they thought maybe he got bad news, like something had
Or he got
happened.
hit, or like, did he get
Yeah,
injured?
like
And he's
nobody
like,
knew what generated that reaction, and then to find out afterwards what it was, it is just one of those reminders where it's like we just don't know how to act, and this is why we don't deserve to have nice things, Amy. I mean, we
no,
just
just some of us. Some of us are holding it up for this sport, but it's also, if you wouldn't want somebody to, like, I know I say this a lot, but you would not want somebody to come to your work and do that to you. Whether it's, I'm grabbing a ball from the player that's trying to get it. Maybe the player's not even going to catch it at the wall, but I want the shot. If somebody's walking into my office and messing up all my stuff on my desk, I'm going to be pissed. Like, that's not okay. You don't do that to other people. Same thing. You don't walk into somebody's work and just start reaming them. It's unacceptable behavior. And the fact that we only have a few people speaking up about this right now, and we know it's an endemic problem, you know that there's probably more players that want to say something, but they don't want to be targeted. So it's just like, how, I don't know how you regulate this other than, like, you send a message, but you have a bunch of people across social media that think him getting banned is like, it's overkill. Where I think, like, you need to send a message. This is not okay. We need to, something needs to change. And treating players like this, treating other humans like this, like, just be good humans.
yeah, no, I'm not gonna lie, my initial reaction was I thought it was extreme, but then I
Really?
thought, yeah,
Oh,
I
I was like, good. He doesn't need to be in the ballpark if he can't act like an adult.
I thought it was extreme, but then I thought to myself, it had to be that extreme to try to stop it, because this is clearly a problem, because it keeps happening. It seems like we've had different versions of the same story this year. And so it's like that's usually what happens, right? When you have a problem, you go to the extreme to try to stop it. Why are you laughing at me?
I You say it keeps happening, but it has always happened. It's been a part of this sport, and I've shared before. It's not just players on the field. Um, Most women probably have a story, because we don't necessarily fit into the masculine whatever of acceptance in baseball. Like, there are many fans who do this to players on the field as well as to people or fans sitting around them. This is a problem that has been occurring for a long time, and there's just nobody that's stopped it. There hasn't been, you know, these people aren't going to regulate themselves. So I don't want it to come off that this is a new problem. This has been happening for years. It's just you have people speaking up about it now.
That's a fair point. I think to say that no one has stopped it, I think is fair. I also think because of social media, we are seeing things that we never saw before so easily being delivered to us. I mean, there's a famous heckler from the 80s who was a Washington Bullets fan who would literally sit behind the bench and yell the most obscene things at these players.
I don't go
It's
to the game for that. I don't want to hear you. Like, that's, to me, that's not funny.
No, it is true, but there'll be people who would you the minute you tell them, "Hey, buddy, knock it off," what's the first thing they say? "Hey, I paid for this seat. I can say whatever I want."
And I
And
paid for this seat and I don't want to hear you.
yeah,
So
no, I agree with you. It's just like, really, this is your idea of enjoyment. This is how you have fun. Is you just want
cool.
to, yeah. And then it's like, okay, then let's just do Roman gladiators, man. Get in the ring with them and
Yeah.
say it to his face.
Here's the card to my therapist. Maybe you should call her.
Yeah. All right. Anything else?
Dave Parker passed away this weekend. So, for those who were either planning on watching the induction ceremony next month or even going to attend in person, he passed away at 74 years old this Saturday. So, just wanted to take a moment to recognize, at least I was texting with somebody this weekend and I was like, wow, what a bummer. Like, he missed it by a month. And they were like, at least he knew he was getting in before he passed.
You're absolutely. I'm so glad you brought that up. That absolutely sucks. To
Mhm.
wait for as long as he did to get that honor and then not have the opportunity, it sucks. I mean, I remember Dave Parker towards the end of his career. I remember Dave Parker when he was on the Reds and then when he was with the A's. But his heyday was when he was with those Pittsburgh Pirates teams. And people who saw him in his prime speak very glowingly about how good Dave Parker is. And he also seemed to be a style icon. There's some, I don't know if you've seen the pictures of him with a hat. He just literally looked like he did not care. He did whatever he wanted to do. But yeah, Dave Parker, it's really tragic, and I'm curious to see how they handle his induction in the Hall of Fame, like who will end up speaking on his behalf. But it's a real bummer that
Yeah.
he doesn't get to be there to
He
experience
was
it.
so close. And I didn't know much about him, admittedly, because I'm still teaching myself about baseball and a lot of the history. But I did get to see his display at the Baseball Hall of Fame in May because they have a whole room of all the people who are about to be inducted. So got to see some of the history around him as I'm starting to learn more, which was kind of cool.
Shouts out to Dave Parker.
Yeah.
And since
Rest
we're
in
giving
peace,
out
buddy.
And since we're giving out kudos, I want to end the show with this. Last month, I was the first time this year that I watched a movie a day. Well, for the second consecutive month again, I watched one movie a day. I watched 30 movies in 30 days. In May, I saw 31 movies in 31 days. Will I be
Wow.
able to do it in July? Who knows? But my
Hold on to your seats and wait. Well, I got my new baseball rule book for this year.
nerd
So
alert.
yes, I've already got a little post-it marked in there because Rick Monday. Oh, David wants a taco. There's another. Okay, it was just an ambulance. It's gone. But Rick Monday was talking about one of the rules this weekend, so I have it bookmarked to go research it.
All right. Anything else?
No, I think I'm baseballed out.
Nerd. So that's going to do it for this episode.
Did you just
For
say
those of-
nerd?
I don't know what you're talking about. For those of you that have been listening to us on the audio portion of the show, please make sure you're subscribed to the podcast, rate us, write us a review, help spread the word about the show. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel, hit that notification button, give us a thumbs up, leave us comments. We love engaging with you. And more importantly, make sure you're following us on social media on X at BB Shangri-La, on Instagram, YouTube, and Bluesky at Baseball Shangri-La.
Oh, and hey, shout out to all the people who are going to be at the game on Wednesday, all of our listeners who've reached out. So I'll see you then.
Put another shrimp on the barbie for us.
Yes, we'll get to see Sal.
So that's going to do it for this show. Nos despedimos con un beso. Amie, say goodbye to the people.
Goodbye, people.